Okay, greetings everyone. Tonight is episode 6 of Horror Hangouts, and I have two guests with me tonight. We have Lee Roselle, and we also have Kathleen McCluskey. Yep,
Very good.
who is here with me on episode 1. So we've brought her back once again, and tonight we're just going to go around and just discuss a few topics, and hopefully we'll have a special guest joining us later. We don't know yet. Um, so we're going to start with, well, first of all, everyone knows Kathleen. Lee, why don't you first tell the audience about a little bit about yourself before we go forward?
Hey guys, thank you so very much for letting me hang out with you guys this evening. I'm sure that after tonight's showing, it'll never happen again. I'm sure that just cancel the hell out of me. My name's Lee. I'm so happy that just today, my little short story horror collection just popped up as a Kindle. It's not coming out until May the 7th, so I've been fixated on that. Thank you very much. And there's really, I mean, I've forgotten all the other aspects of myself. I've been working so hard on this thing. So.
I know the feeling, you get lost in it.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, it's glad to have you here. So I knew I knew you'd be someone that I thought would be good, and I thought would probably go have a good chemistry with everyone. So we're actually
definitely have had all kind of cool chemistry with Arthur Cat MC, just back and forth all the time. And then I see some of the memes, and I'm just like, well, I gotta know this person. You know?
Yeah, she's like kind of become the big sister that I never really wanted, but I'm stuck with now.
Yeah. Well, I have a sister, and I'm no comment after this.
I do, but she's much younger than I am, so I'm like the oldest of 3. So,
all right.
Well, speaking of memes, that's a good segue here. So let's bring this up here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. Oh, that's the honorable mention. Okay, thank you for that. Right. This one. We'll start with this one. This one won honorable mention. It did not get best of in any category, but I just thought, what sort of noggin would conceive of this doppelganger, this parallel universe? Can somebody please explain what the hell is going on with this meme? I mean, look at this fella. I mean, obviously, taking a dump after shitting after shower has a profound psychological effect on this person that I was touched by this. This right here embodies the sort of, the way that slasher memes speak to the depths of my soul. I have no damn idea what this is about, but it speaks to me on a sort of a subliminal level. Anybody got does anybody feel this way, or is it just them? You feel that way. You feel that way. Okay. 1 out of 3.
Well, I've always made sure that I shit before I showered, so that's
I tend to, on a really good day, shit before, during, and after the shower. And if you hit the trifecta, you got no problems that day.
Wow.
That's me. So yeah, that was honorable mention. Excited to see which one comes up next. What do we got?
Well, that's the thing. I kind of put them in reverse that you sent me.
That's fine.
I think it's number 5 or.
Okay. Yes, indeed. This one, there's always quite a bit of Judeo-Christian iconography found in slasher apps. This one is best meme for blasphemy and the use of the word titties. I mean, I've seen a lot of a lot of memes that are blasphemous and involve titties, but this one just has that je ne sais quoi that I think makes it rise to the top on a higher level.
Yeah, that's like a sub-level.
Where does this come from? What the? Who? What? I mean, it's incomprehensible. I adore it.
Wow.
It is very unique, and it's certainly an original way of doing that.
All right, so before you bring up the next one, I got my little sheet here. This one should be, I've seen a lot of nice holiday memes that celebrate the reason for the season and a variety of Easter memes. But this one was the best Easter. Yeah. I mean, and there's a whole collection of memes that have, did you see them? The Easter bunny is terrifying. And look at that poor child. He's got the 1,000-mile stare. He'll never sleep again. That is the most peculiar looking Easter bunny. If I was a kid and they put me in front of that Easter bunny, I would just die. I would die. Look at the damn thing. Look at his mouth. I mean, that child is like, he knows his parents are probably smiling and laughing, but that bunny is dead inside, you know? All right, so here is...
Probably drunk, too.
Yeah, and probably the bunny is, too. Right here. Everybody loves a good Godzilla meme. This is for old school Toho fans right here. I thought this one was not as flashy in a lot of ways, but... I mean, anybody who's watched all those movies 300 times like I have is like, got to love this one. Okay, so before you put on the next one, I want to give the award. Quite often, slasher meme. Yes, fixate on the rear end.
I've seen that one quite a bit this week.
That's right. This is the best extended keister meme that I've found. And there are a lot of them. So you can take anything from Pennywise to the Easter Bunny to a chicken to Jason Voorhees and just extend the rear end of it, and you've got a wonderful meme. I think this one takes it to a higher level of quality. So that one wins for extended rear end. And this one comes from author Cat MC. I don't know where you got this one, but there's nothing that we slasher love more than torturing little children who don't know any better. This child is terrified. This child has no idea what's going on. And the sadness in the child's eyes, that makes every slasher, I think, just feel a little bit warmer inside. I thought that was great. And just every time I look at this kid, I'm just like, whoa.
I mean, look on his face is like, what the fuck?
So smart too. Anyway, those are the winners, and I've collected these champions from masses of memes that have come through. My favorite ones are just when somebody like doodles some bizarre thing, and then there's that guy who just has a different T-shirt on every day and is like uses AI to operate his face.
I know you're talking about
Metal Bolt, right? Metal Bolt. He's one of my favorites, and also, and I'll be quiet. Lars wins for best good morning memes as well.
Z, with Lars Z.
Yeah.
You know what? He is one hell of an artist.
Yeah.
I actually commissioned him to my children cosplay, and they did this. I forget his name. Bash. I don't know his crew, and I had him do sketches for them for Christmas, and they turned out he's a brilliant artist.
Very cool.
I'm actually going to have him on the show. It won't be till October because I guess he's done a lot of paranormal research and stuff like that.
He's big into stuff. For my next novel, I asked him to draw the cover for me.
Oh, cool!
Awesome.
Yeah. His good morning memes always cheer me up when I see them. I love those.
Yeah, I love them too. And Sackhead has some good ones too in the morning.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, always. Yeah, and then there's always me every Monday.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, looking forward
Always
to
with
it.
the Michael Myers Mondays.
But you know what? Mondays are fucking awful anyway. So
Yeah.
if Michael Myers comes up, it's
Yeah,
okay.
definitely you win the prize for most elaborate, creative, and a tradition of Michael Myers memes that I think stands out amongst even the most avid of Michael Myers fans. I think you take the cake on that one. No,
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm actually, yeah, he's my favorite, but I'm a huge John Carpenter fan, so that's that.
Speaking of which,
Yeah, exactly. Good segue, huh?
yes, Kathleen's subject of tonight is going to be John Carpenter. So why don't you start us off?
Yes, John Carpenter, the man himself. I mean, you can always tell a Carpenter movie. It's got that suspense. It's got that little bit of dry humor, and it always has epic creatures in it, or epic makeup in it, like Big Trouble in Little China. It didn't really have creatures in it, but it kind of did, but it kind of didn't. You can see John Carpenter's hand in Christine, of course. Excellent. That's my number 2 movie. And The Thing. What about you guys? Top 3 Carpenter movies?
Josh?
Go ahead, Lee.
Okay, so
Well,
yeah, go ahead, Josh. Yeah, you got it. I can tell it percolated. You got your top 3.
I would probably go number 1 would be Halloween.
Good choice.
Number two would be The Thing. And then number 3, and this is the tough one, I probably would have to go Escape from New York.
That's a good one. And it's funny, Kurt Russell's in 2 of those. John Carpenter loves working with him. I saw him do an interview, and somebody asked him, I think it was when they were doing Escape from LA, and they asked him if Kurt Russell was going to be in it. He said, of course, I love working with that man. I mean, he was in, I think, 4 or 5 of his movies, which is awesome.
Definitely. Yeah, at least. In fact, recently, a friend of mine, and we won't get too bad on him because he's like younger than us, but there are certain movies he hadn't seen, one of those being The Thing. So a few weeks ago, I had him over, we watched The Thing. Last week, I went over at his place, and we watched Escape from New York and Escape from LA. So now he's well-versed now in the John Carpenter, Kurt Russell collaboration.
I mean, he likes Kurt Russell the way he likes Jamie Lee Curtis, you know? All right, Lee, what's your top 3?
So for my pantheon, I've got to say that it might be counterintuitive, but I'm one of those who really tries to stand up for Halloween Part 3. Carpenter wanted, from what I understand, to kind of have an anthology Halloween that that took the story in all kind of new directions, and maybe would be different every time. Of course, the diehard Part 1 and Part 2 fans wouldn't have it; they panned it. But I think it's with the snake scene with the pumpkin and the little kid. The thing about John Carpenter that gets me is the soundtrack.
Always a great soundtrack.
It's like that, for my money, that we haven't mentioned that I gotta say is like I also love The Fog. I also adore The Fog, and I also can't help it. One of those that are in the nostalgia vaults is They Live. That one is fun, and I don't consider that a horror movie. If you like woke me up at 3:00 in the morning and like I had to grab from my DVD collection and I could only take one Carpenter movie out of the fire with me and go live on the island, it'd be Halloween. But those others are also brilliant. Have you guys seen the television, like the Suburb television show? I don't know anything about it.
I haven't.
He doesn't direct them. He doesn't do anything really with them except for maybe a minute and a half in the beginning where he says such and such a family at such and such a residence had this big ghost come down and eat the daughter's face off.
Yeah.
And it goes to another director who directs the episode. It's like a documentary with actors in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, where they have people talking, and then they have the scene played out, and then they talk a little bit more, and then the scene plays out.
Okay.
Basically,
It was like those true crime shows that you might find.
Right, but it's a paranormal show. I mean, they're good. They're supposed to be true stories, but who's to say? I mean, I just watched The Ward, and as much as I love John Carpenter, I didn't like it. I mean, I did, but I didn't. It didn't have that same Carpenter vibe to it. That's hard to explain if you don't know John Carpenter films. He has a vibe to his movies.
Exactly.
Like Rob Zombie has his own vibe to his movies. John Carpenter has the same, and The Ward didn't have it. Did you guys get to see it?
I've never seen The Ward. From what I understand, there was a lot of studio interference, I think. It's one of the reasons why John Carpenter pretty much does not want to direct anymore. So I think that's the last film he did, and I think after that he's like, fuck it. I've made the movies I wanted to make, and not doing that again. So
involved, the latest series of Halloween movies. At least John Carpenter had his hand in the first two. He gave the okay. The Akkads were involved in it. It had that vibe to it.
Yeah.
Halloween Ends, no. No. Michael Myers getting his mask stolen? Are you fucking kidding me? Right? That doesn't happen. Getting beat up by a nerd? No. No. And at the end of Halloween Kills, he was run over by a car. He was shot. He was stabbed. He was hatcheted. And then some nerd steals his mask in the next movie? No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And people wonder why
I concur. Definitely so.
I wasn't really a huge fan of the newer movies, or just more or less. I just didn't think all right, 40 years after the events of just the first movie, where only 3 people got killed, basically 4 if you count the tow truck driver,
right?
And people are still, and Laurie Strode's out there running around like Sarah Connor. It just didn't seem connected. It's not like with H2O where it's only been 20 years.
Right,
and then
how in that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but don't you love how in that franchise they just kind of skip over H2O? Like, she had a son in that movie, not a daughter. She was a professor in that movie. She lived on a campus. They just glazed over that, and
they basically retconned everything. It's just everything was just supposed to be a direct sequel to the very first one. So they were even getting rid of Halloween 2 for that matter.
I mean, I liked them because, it's Michael Myers.
Right.
But that last one.
Oh, I have not seen it. Yeah. I mean, as long as they were bringing out the sort of desiccated shell of Donald Pleasance, right?
Right.
Game. I was always it wouldn't matter if they brought him out on a stretcher or something. I love that character. It's sort of like, I would be delighted to go see AC/DC even if they're and stuff. I don't care. There's enough there. But once that kind of ended, some of the charm was lost for me, and I'd rather watch, wait a couple of months and watch, 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe even, but once we get to 5, it's sort of like I get lost. I mean,
after 5, it gets a little stupid, but you have to admit, watching Busta Rhymes do Kung Fu.
Can't beat it.
And Tara Banks getting killed? Come on.
That would be a plus.
Devotee. That's a devotee right there, right? Yes.
For me, my definite Halloween trilogy is Halloween's 1, 2, and 4. because if you think about how the very first Halloween starts, it's Michael Myers, 6 years old in a clown costume, stabbing his sister. Halloween 4 ends with his niece, Jamie, also in a clown costume, and
Stabbing.
just stabbed her stepmother.
Oh,
So it's like everything came full circle, and it just goes to the old saying, you can't kill the boogeyman. He or in that case, she will always, reinvent themselves. So I thought that's like a perfect book ending in a lot of ways to those.
Yeah, they should have just stopped it right there and been done.
Oh yeah, they could have.
Put her in the insane asylum and be done, and then 20 years now, have her be the next killer. Ooh, I think I just wrote another book. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, we talked about the fan fiction book that I wrote that took place 20 years after the events of Halloween 4, but then I also blended them in with the Hellraiser universe, and yeah.
Yeah. One thing I love about Carpenter when he's doing movies, you always have like a Western swagger to it. To some, I mean, Snake Lipskin or Ripskin, or I can't even remember how you say it.
Lipskin.
There you go. Thank you. Bless you. And Michael Myers, the way he walks across the street.
Mm-hmm.
So they always have that. Look at McCready with his cowboy hat and the thing. That's because he loved this director named Howard Hawks, who did like El Dorado and John Wayne
movies.
And that's what he grew up watching in the cinema when he was a kid. That's what he grew up watching, was all Western. So of course all his movies are like
the strong silent type.
Well, I was going to say too, John Carpenter's Vampires, which is a very underrated and one of my favorites of his as well.
I want to like it. I want so much to like it,
It's
and Alice Cooper sort of staggers around there. I'm like, I'm feeling it. But it's like a lot of the movies in the 90s just got too big. It's a little too operatic, a little too large. I don't know how to explain
what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. What makes it a top Carpenter film for you, Josh? Because I want to love it.
I think a lot of it. I think with that one, I think a lot of it's in its own context too. At that time that it came out in '98. We were in the middle of what I call the Melrose Place era of horror.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to dog on Scream. It did a lot for horror,
right?
And people if you love it and have that passion for that series, great.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was too clean looking. The characters are too clean. When Vampires came out, it was dirty, gritty, very brutal, very violent. I mean, the character of Valak, the main vampire, that's one of the most brutal vampires that there is. And then on top of that, you throw in James Woods being James Woods. It's just a fun fucking movie. So it's always one that I'll watch.
I was talking about Prince of Darkness. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I was completely on the wrong film.
Wrong decade,
yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of that movie as an action film that I did love. I love those badass guys doing. I mean, yeah. I was thinking about Prince of Darkness. I'm sorry. I
actually Prince of Darkness, and in the mouth of madness.
Yeah.
Mouth of Madness.
Yeah. It's sort of like
Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah.
Great movie too.
It's sort of like grunge and the only thing is like I didn't realize it at the time, but where it was all happening in that age was like Stuart Gordon, right? Castle Freak and all of those Lovecraft type movies, Reanimators. That's where, I mean, I can barely watch those. Those are so rough, but that's where the interesting stuff that I thought was going on during that period. And then like the only other thing that happened was like the equivalent of grunge, and it was Blair Witch. And that one kind of blew my mind when I first saw it. But otherwise, the 90s, kind of just I lost some of the the joy of it, because the film quality got better. You know, I mean, part of that is like I love that grittier and crappier film quality from the 70s and 80s and like to all the way to about the late 80s, and then it starts cleaning up, and it, like you say, and something gets lost there for me.
See, I love it when B movie directors or producers or whoever buys the cameras, you know, they only have so much money, and you can tell when they spend more money on a better quality camera because the film is a better quality. Even though the acting is shit and the effects are shit, it looks good. So I kind of glaze over the fact that the acting is shit and the effects are shit.
Yeah.
It's filmed nice. I hate when I put on a B movie and it looks like my grandmother's handheld camcorder videotape footage. No, this is 24. It should look like it's from 2024.
Yeah.
In my book, I mean, I think the film quality ruins a film for me if it's not. Yeah, grainy.
It's the complete opposite in 2024 than it was in 1995. I think.
Right.
I think that you can so much tell when it's like would be created by us, right? With our whatever devices we have, and exactly. And you have to make the characters really compelling to get through that.
And you have to have somebody that's almost like Rick Baker doing your effects for you. Somebody that knows the genre, not somebody that's like, yeah, I'm going to throw some Karo syrup and some food coloring in it, and here you go, you got blood.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. Like, you need somebody that's submerged into this genre, and a lot of special effects people want to do makeup and, you know, pretty stuff. They don't want to do the stuff that we like. So you end up with some hack that doesn't know what he's doing.
Definitely so.
That could almost be another episode. Is like, well, what the heck? I mean, before I get to mine, I mean, let's talk about. Now I'm thinking about it. I mean, the '90s, and you remember the movie, early '90s movie Subspecies.
Oh yeah.
Now there's an example of that's obviously a low budget movie.
Didn't Chud come out around that time too?
What was that?
Didn't Chud come out around that time too?
That was a little earlier, maybe. I don't.
I was thinking that came out in the '80s.
Oh, okay.
Look it up because that's going to bother me. But yeah, it's right there. Let me see. I'll check it out.
He's looking at
it. They didn't have a lot of money, but I think they did the best they could with it, and you can tell there was a lot of effort that they put into that.
1984. 1984, actually. So it was a lot earlier. Yeah, Chud 1 came out. Yeah, 1984.
What, Chud was 84?
Yep.
Wow. Did they make 2 subspecies? I think they made 2, didn't they?
They made like 5 of them.
Oh, wow.
I've only seen the very first one, but
yeah, me too. Me too, definitely.
Oh, no, check this out. This is from a fellow slasher. This is his movie. It's called Do No Harm.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is his crew.
Cool.
Awesome.
And he signed the movie poster to me. That's pretty cool. Oops, wait, wrong way.
Definitely gonna watch it if it's on. If I can access it, definitely.
Yeah, it's very cool. And his name on Slasher is Do No Harm as well.
Oh yeah, okay.
So he's a pretty nice guy. I mean, his name's John, but he goes by Do No Harm because that was the name of his movie.
Okay, gotcha.
Got to plug that. Those indie people, because that's what we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely so.
Well, that's the thing I have in a couple of weeks. I do have an indie filmmaker that's going to be on. Stacey Lane Wilson. Her most recent film, and you can find it on Pluto, is called Fetish Factory. And it's basically a zombie movie that takes place in a burlesque club. So it's
okay.
It's a good job with it.
You know, indie filmmakers are our only hope, really, in a lot of ways. You know, this is where all of the movies that have stuck with me, kind of most of them in the horror genre, like, you know, I don't know how indie Evil Dead 1 was, but it's got all of the grit. It was able to retain that grit, and so I work through and watch indie films in hopes that next, Night of the Living Dead, or hopes that the next Eraserhead or something like that comes out. It's going to happen. It's just you got to dig through a lot of kind of pseudo melodramas to get to find it.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
it's coming from indie. The next one is coming from indie.
Well, and Carpenter, Halloween was an indie film, and at the time the highest grossing one too, up until I don't know who broke it, maybe Pulp or Reservoir Dogs, I think.
But the when it first came out, it bombed bad in the box offices. So he took it to college campuses. Mm-hmm. That's where it got the cult following from. And what's crazy about that movie is there's minimal blood in it. Yeah. You don't see any blood when he's killing his sister in the beginning. You don't see any blood when he sticks the guy to the wall and cocks his head to the side. You don't see any blood when he strangles what's her name with the telephone cord. You don't see blood because they couldn't afford it. And all the leaves that are scattered around, crew actually took paper and cut them apart. And when Carpenter would say, cut, everybody would run out and grab up the leaf and put them in a bag so they could use them for the next scene. The clothes were all the actresses' clothes. The cars they were driving, those cars were their cars. Yeah. And there's palm trees in the background. It's supposed to be Illinois.
Yeah.
And trees in the background. What I love about indie films because you catch so much, and then all of a sudden it gets a cult following, and boom.
Exactly. And dare I mention 1974, the independent film that shook me, and still resonates and live on forever. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep.
Original. I mean, that's perfection, I think.
Yeah, they said Tobe Hooper left like actual cow parts in the house that had stunk to high heaven in the Texas heat, and because he wanted it to be authentic, he wanted the flies to be there, the maggots to be there, everything, the grunge, the grime. It was awful. They said.
Tormented those people in that house, and you could tell it. It's just like.
I mean, like perfect of the movie. The stuff, you smell the movie when you're watching it. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. The first scene, that bizarre. Well, after the credits, that roadkill there, and that gritty, that armadillo and that gritty style. It's like I can smell that too, especially those flashes and those glutinous corpse there. It's like
that ka-ching sound.
Stop there. No more horror movies. You did it. That was like that was the pantheon right there. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And of course, also later, it's hard to believe it's 50 years now, but of course, later in 74, another independent film from Canada came out called Black Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
Influential movie, too, I think.
And, it's kind of reminiscent of that. Do you think you're alone? The kids are upstairs. He's calling from inside of the house.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Movie. What the heck was the name of that movie?
He Knows You're Alone, maybe? Is that? Or
I don't remember, but you remember the cops call back and say, he's calling from inside the house.
Have you checked the children?
Well, even Scream. Yeah. I've been thinking about Scream. Where do you think? I'm just wondering, the whole thing of the Ghostface calling them and taunting them and all that stuff. I'm just wondering if they got that from Black Christmas.
Yeah.
Because he does more of his voice,
Yeah. Yeah. That whole idea of he's inside the house or he's inside the vault or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Where it came before.
Yeah, another independent film that actually wasn't independent when it was released. It was a college student's film project. Was Saw, and his professor saw it and was like, "Holy shit, brilliant!" And the professor is the one that contacted the studio, and that's how that franchise was built.
Right,
amazing how that works.
It's you notice when the the film has to cut corners because of budget, and they try to retain it in a one studio space or something like that. Better, quote unquote, better filmmakers have tried it and failed. I think Eaten Alive by Tobe Hooper tries that and doesn't succeed as well as Saw. But Saw, I never got that gut feeling like, yeah, I see. They're just, you know, they got no budget. I'm like, this is inspired. This is something that, you know, that keeps me on the edge of my seat, and I net like the Cube, right? These movies, you can tell it's like they're contained.
Yeah.
Right.
Not this one.
What was the one that was they were diners, but everybody had to die. It was all in one room. The crazy chef had to kill it.
Oh,
The Menu.
yeah, the menu.
That was all in one room, and that was kind of successful.
Yeah.
I think what carried that movie was the chef. I forget who played him, but I remember
Ray Fiennes.
Who?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, it looked. I want to say Ralph Fiennes, but I think for some reason he pronounces it Ray. But
Yes.
yeah, he was. I just know him from Schindler's List.
Okay. Yeah, he was brilliant. I mean, he stole the movie for me.
Yeah.
He was brilliant. So yeah, one room. Yeah, Saw was, and when he gets up at the end. My husband and I went to the theater, and when John gets up off that floor in that dirty ass bathroom in the end of Saw,
Yeah.
Wow.
I was blown away. I was like, "It's going to make $1 million."
Oh yeah. I found my trousers in the other room. I mean, I was just like, you know.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, it was, and thank God, you know, in that time period, we were talking about how clean horror had gotten. In the early 2000s, you had Saw come out, James Wan, Rob Zombie came out with House of a Thousand Corpses, and I'm like a little iffy on the whole torture porn, but Eli Roth came out with Hostel, and they kind of made horror dirty again, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I prefer it to what was happening in the 90s, but it's not my bag ultimately, you know. I mean,
some of them I could do without. There's a lot of the Toolbox Murders. Didn't they come out in the 90s? That was very violent and very gory and very.
I was thinking that was like 78 or 79. If it's the same Toolbox Murders I'm thinking of.
The remake.
Crazy cover.
Oh.
Maybe it's the Toolbox Murders 2 that I'm thinking of. I don't know.
They remade? I never knew that. I just seen the original one.
Unbelievably violent and gory and like, holy shit. You know, I mean, I think what that Siskel and Ebert dude called that back in the day.
Yeah, if Siskel and Ebert were like what they said about some of my favorite movies, I'm like, that's a sign. Like if RottenTomatoes.com gives a horror movie at 18%, I'm like, maybe there's hope. I got to watch this.
Right, exactly.
If they give a horror movie like a 90 or above, odds are it's going to be a piece of trite, you know. You know,
like that's Skinamarink crap. That movie was awful.
Yeah, I haven't even seen the new Exorcist, but I'm afraid to do it.
Given that it was directed by the same guy who brought you Halloween Ends, and of course the other two, I can't imagine why it got so many negative reviews.
Exorcist, wait a minute. Now, to be qualified for as an Exorcist movie, not just a possession movie, but as an Exorcist movie, does the demon Pazuzu not? He has to be in there somewhere, right? Like he has to be named. They have to say it's Pazuzu. You know what I mean? In the new Exorcist, he's not really mentioned. But when the mother in Ellen Bernstein comes in, the little girl does say to her, "Oh, we meet again," or something like that. But it's not like it should have been really front and center that was Pazuzu and that's who possessed Reagan and that's who's taken over these two girls and blah blah blah. But they don't. So it kind of fell flat for me.
Your comments are giving it more sort of credibility than I thought it actually had. Maybe that crew should have sort of joined up with the people on the Evil Dead Rise movie and just going off into the sunset or something. It's like no. No.
Yeah, I did like parts of the Evil Dead Rise movie.
Sure.
I have to tell you the gore in that, and when that chick is eating that glass.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
things
in that movie. The fact that it's an Evil Dead movie and there's no Ash, again, Exorcist, no Pazuzu. Evil Dead, no Ash. How do they do that? But I guess an Necronomicon.
You've got to have some cameras moving into some tools, right? You've got to have dancing, drooling, skeletal ghouls that are coming from the ground and smoky ground. It's like
they're flying through the forest like in the first one. Yeah,
no place for children. No place for children. Kill the children instantly.
The thing with The Exorcist, I don't think it's a movie that really ever lent itself to being a series. It's a movie that just should have been a one and done and just kind of left it from there. I don't think there was any reason to make a sequel or a series for that matter.
You can't tie it. I mean, Exorcist 3 with George C. Scott.
Excellent.
I dig it. There's that one scene where the monster comes in through in the hospital.
Yep.
Top tier. Also, what's his name? The guy's crying. The demon that switches back and forth, based on Legion. I'm like, there's a lot to love here.
Yep.
It's a different. I love George C. Scott in this thing, but it's a different movie. It's a different type of movie. But I love that one too.
It was awful.
Pardon?
The second one was just an abortion. I'm sorry, but it was awful.
I've never heard a kind word about that movie, and I've never seen it. But I
haven't seen it. It was a Hawaiian feature or something like that. There were sort of like a Gilligan's Island type thing going on,
it was awful. Just no. Just go Exorcist 1, Exorcist 3, Exorcist the beginning, and then stop.
You've given me an idea. I'm getting on Slasher. First chance I get, and vindicate all the virtues of Exorcist 2 and watch the attacks come. Don't you all get it, man? Exorcist 2 is the.
And then his friends list numbers go all the way.
Lose a lot of friends that way. Lose a lot of slasher friends like that.
It's a good enough, though.
Cool.
Well, Josh,
so I'm going to try to do something here, and if not, I'll just talk about it. What?
I said, did you do your thing yet?
Someone froze. No, I was getting ready to, actually. Let's see if this works or not. If not, I'll just talk about it rather than show it.
sorry.
With your filter, it is going so well. Oh, we're gonna get a video.
All right.
Oh, that's interesting.
I've seen this one before.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Mute. So anyhow, as many of you might know, I what?
Pardon. Excuse me.
As many of you might know, about a month ago, I went to the Days of the Dead. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I can't. No.
I can.
I can, yes.
Okay, terrific. Oh, really? You can't? Okay. Well, anyhow, a month ago, I went to the Days of the Dead Horror Con in Las Vegas. Had a really fun time. The day started off a little rough because my flight leaving Amarillo, Texas, where I'm at, was delayed 3 hours due to, I'm not sure what, air traffic or something along those lines. So I got there in Vegas right in time. And I say my wife and I, right in time for it to start. We got checked in the hotel and all that. And during the course of that, we certainly met. I enjoyed talking with a lot of the vendors, and that's
cool.
Oh.
Okay. Here we go.
There you go.
But anyway, I'm just going to let this play. But the fun part of this, and I don't know if you've ever been to horror cons, but it's always like meeting the vendors. And there's certainly, and like you saw there in the back, we got a lot of prints made and so forth. And also meeting some of the authors. Here's one of the places right here, Fantasy Realms Art. You were talking about that Gomez Adams one there. He's the one that made it.
Cool.
And you can kind of see some of his artwork there.
Cool.
Yeah,
That was really great seeing these people who create all this stuff. And those right there are the prints that we purchased from them. So you kind of got the Christopher Lee Dracula there.
Nice.
And then, of course, another good artist was, her name is Ashley Jagadansky, if I'm pronouncing that right. And, of course, she does her own digital prints as well. So I'm giving them a little bit of a shout out here.
Cool.
But yeah, you can take a look. I did get a Dracula. Yeah, I got the Dracula print, this Captain Spaulding, and I love the Michael Myers Jason.
Cool.
And then the Pinhead split between, let me go, that was between Jamie Clayton's Pinhead, the most recent, and Doug Bradley's, the classic. So I thought that was kind of cool. This was an author I met, pretty nice guy by the name of DC Phillips. I purchased this book, haven't read it yet. Maybe when I get mine written and done, I'll be able to read that. But he's a very nice guy, and there'd be a few points because I'm thinking about wanting to do eventually the same thing when I get my second book out anyway, is to maybe go to some of these conventions and get a vendor's table and see how that goes as far as selling my books there. Most of the authors there were pretty honest in saying, chances are you're probably not going to make your money back, but it's all about networking with people and getting your name out there.
Exposure, yep.
Having fun.
Exactly.
It's fun, too.
Yeah, and you're having fun and you're getting it. You know, that's why I blog. That's why I write for that magazine. I don't get paid for that. It's all exposure.
Exactly. But of course,
I think about doing that too at a con.
Yeah, because I got a few I'm thinking about. I mean, we have a small little one here in Amarillo where I live, but it still would be worth to give it a try since it's here in my hometown. But eventually I could see where I live. I'm kind of like about a 6-hour drive to Dallas, 6 or 7 hour drive to Denver. So I could hit some of the cons in those two major cities and everywhere in between. So something I might do here in the future.
Heck yeah. Sounds cool.
Very cool.
And of course, we met quite a few celebrities right there. My wife likes to get a lot of those Funko Pops, so she got Kane Hodder to sign her Jason one, and then Jackson Robert Scott, who played Georgie in the It movie, and he's taller than me now. If you remember how little that kid was, he's like 16 or I think he's like 15 years old, and he's like sprouted up big time.
Both his arms, has all his body parts, hopefully.
Yeah, they were all there. They're all in good shape.
I got a visitor.
Aw.
That's my kitty, Mystique. Say hi, Mystique. Hi.
Hello, Mystique.
Yeah, she has to be like, what are you doing?
And then of course I also had met Dee Wallace, who's, let's face it, a legend in this business. The Howling, Cujo. Of course, he was in E.T., has been in some of the Rob Zombie movies, including Rob Zombie's Halloween and Lords of Salem, which is one of my favorite witch movies. And incredibly nice, very grateful person. I had met her briefly in HorrorCon last year in Denver, and I mentioned that. It goes, I don't remember you. Well, it's okay. You see like 1,000 people a day or something. It goes, no, I shouldn't remember that. No, it's okay. I know you're pushing 70 now, so it's all right.
Right.
Sorry.
But it's just, you can tell a lot of these people, I think they also enjoy Jonathan Breck, who plays the
Oh.
Hey, knock it
I think
off.
my wife and I must have talked to him for about 20 minutes, and he's just the nicest guy.
Cool.
To eat, and he got to kill Justin Long in the movie, so that makes him great in my book. We had that conversation earlier.
Cool.
That's so cool.
Oh yeah.
There's Mr. Malcolm McDowell.
Wow.
He's funny as hell. And this is the second time I've met him. I met him a year ago too, and yeah, he'll talk to you forever almost. And I'll give you another tip for those who are going to go to horror cons. If you're looking to meet like celebrities and get a chance to talk with them, go on a Friday or Sundays because it's a lot less busier, and so therefore you'll have a little bit more time to chat with them.
Yeah, Steel City Cons this weekend.
In other words,
my kids are at Steel City Con right now.
Oh, neat.
Oh, awesome.
I might go Sunday to go meet John Carpenter.
Oh, that will be terrific.
Yes, but does anybody have bail money? Because I loathe crowds.
Uh-oh.
I'm a swing and elbow kind of person if somebody gets too close to me without even thinking about it.
Watch the elbows.
Yeah, so crowds are really not my thing. So we'll see. If I pull into the parking lot and it's packed, I'm not going in.
I can understand completely.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Go on a Friday or Sunday. Saturdays Saturday was the day we were like checking out, going to the vendors and whatnot, talking to them. But like the Friday and Sunday mornings is when it's not very busy at all. Here, of course, is Heather Langenkamp, Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street, one of our top final girls from the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
And then coming up was my main event, and she was the very first person I wanted to meet as soon as we got in there, and she's coming up here soon. And that's Ashley Lawrence from Hellraiser, played Kirsty in Hellraisers 1 and 2. And Lee, if you don't know it, I know Kat knows that Hellraiser is like my favorite movie, and at least half the movies I like anyway, at least 5 of them anyway. But the first 2 for me are classics. And she was, and I'll admit, I've met celebrities before. I met some last year when I went to my first one in Denver. I was a little bit nervous meeting her because I'll admit, I watched Hellraiser when first time I watched it was I was 14. Not to admit, I had a little bit of a crush on Ashley Lawrence back then. But as soon as she smiled at me, and yeah, I probably still do. But after talking with her, she was just, very friendly. She would talk for quite a bit. And one thing too, when you meet some of these people, mention like a movie that not a lot of people talk about that they've done, and they'll brighten their mood, because I'm sure she gets tired, and the rest of them, for that matter, constantly talking about their, the movie that they're most known for. Yeah, we'll close this out now.
That makes sense. Cool. That looks like a heck of a lot.
Yeah, because I mentioned her. It was. And because like with her, I mentioned a little independent movie she did called Lightning Bug, which came out in 2004. And she's like, "You've seen that?" I goes, "Well, yeah, it's really good."
Shocker, somebody's actually seen it.
Yeah. Trust me, I try to give it a plug every so often on social media. So, and she would talk about how much fun she would have with Clive Barker. When they weren't shooting on Hellraiser, they would start drawing on the walls and all that stuff, because she's also an artist as well. So,
yeah,
I think she learned a lot from him on that. So have you mentioned the Steel City Con. Have either one of you gone to any conventions in the past?
Yeah, I've been to a couple.
I've never been to one my entire life. I am excited to get to to go. I hadn't even thought about it, but I think I want to go when I can show off a product or something, and be there and also be part of the thing, So
right, be a vendor there.
Yeah, definitely. It seems cool.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. I can't do crowds. So if I was a vendor, I definitely would be behind something. So that would be okay.
Well, yeah, you would have a table in front of you here. So
have one of those kids brandishing the books, and helping you sell them, and while you have just a long cigarette and with shades and just
those old time movies with the long thing. Yeah, there you go.
That's the author.
Yeah, dress one up like an angel, dress one up like a demon, dress one up like
get a couple like cosplay models or something to stand in front of there and get people's attention.
Yeah, I could have my daughter do that. My daughter and her friends would probably do it for free.
There you go.
Well, I'm sorry, gentlemen, but I have to pee.
Is it time to break for a bathroom break to reconvene at another time?
Yeah, I have to pee.
I'm about.
I can
good.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining me tonight, and we'll be doing some more of these in the future. And thanks everyone for watching, and we will talk to you guys later next time.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you. That was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Lee, good meeting you.
Certainly.